This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Good morning, guys. So, till last week we learned about continuous integration, right? Now you know what is a continuous integration. So, just to quickly recap, continuous integration means you need to build the code automatically based on the check-in uh, or at regular intervals, and then while you are building that code using Azure pipelines here, you need to ensure that unit test cases are there, they are run, and sonar cube is integrated, and in the sonar cube quality gate is also configured. If the quality gate is failed, you need to fail the build. If the quality gate is successful, you need to make it successful. You need to make the build successful. So this is continuous integration. On each and every check-in, you need to run the build pipeline automatically. So in a nutshell, basically, using quality gate as well. Okay. Now, we are done with continuous integration, and we are ensuring the code quality as per the organization standards. Okay, using continuous integration. Now, continuous deployment. CD means continuous deployment or continuous delivery. So there is a short, very small difference between continuous deployment and delivery that I will explain while we are progressing through this Azure pipelines. Okay. So what is continuous deployment? Okay. We implement continuous deployment using Azure Release pipelines in Azure DevOps. Okay, in other platforms, like if you take Jenkins, still you call it as a job only. There is no other name in Jenkins, so you call it as a job. And if you go to GitLab, that is another platform like Azure DevOps, you call it as a CD pipeline. Okay, and Bamboo, another platform, you call it as a again CD only. Like that, every platform will have its own name, but most of the times it will be called as a job or a release pipeline or a CD pipeline, like that. Okay, here we call it as a release pipeline for CD. Okay, now what we're going to do from in the release pipeline, we take the code, or in technical terms we take the artifacts which are generated by CI pipeline and deploy to different servers. Okay, you will have a web servers, you will have a API servers, and you may have databases. So these are the components what you have. It doesn't matter how many projects you have, they definitely split into these three categories. We deploy to some web server if it is a UI, and to the same web server we may deploy to the APIs as well, because both are web related. Web means accessible over HTTP, right? Accessible over browser. And we can deploy to the virtual machines, we can deploy to the Azure PaaS service, like a Azure app service is a PaaS basically. Okay, and then we can deploy to the Kubernetes, or we can deploy to our own physical servers in our own data centers as well. So these are the different ways you can deploy to the different servers, so that end users can make use of that application. Okay, so as I mentioned, to every automation, the foundation is your manual steps basically. If there are no manual steps, that means you cannot automate anything, right? So let's try to understand how developers or some administrators deploy the code to different servers if they don't have any CD pipeline. Once you know that, we can move on to the automation using Azure Release pipeline. Okay, is that clear? Hello.
Yes, Pranav.
Okay, let's do the manual steps. So if it is manual steps, obviously even the administrator have to use the Visual Studio, because there are no other option. Okay, or developers have to give you the artifacts. Okay, so before that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a folder on my desktop just to hold the artifacts. Okay, you remember in our CI pipeline, okay, we have a task called publish artifacts, right? That means once the application is compiled, the artifacts will be generated like DLL, etc., etc. They will be copied to some location, right, for further use. Similarly, I'm going to create some folder here for my deployment to hold the content of my build activity. So I'll just make it as a 18th October. I can make it anything, right? And just let me put it here. Okay, let me open Visual Studio. So why I'm telling this one, uh, if you are working for any other programming language as well, or if you are doing DevOps or any other programming language, okay, you need to ask, because uh, nobody knows each and every language, right? Even if you know it, you still need to ask the developer, hey, what are the different manual steps that you need to do, or that you will do as part of your manual deployment. You note it down and automate all those things in the CD pipeline. That is very important. Many people don't ask. That's where they fail basically, because you don't know what developers do, right? If they don't ask you, if you don't ask them, you cannot do perfect way. Okay. So now CI is done. Okay. Now what developers do if they are doing it manually? So they go to Solution Explorer, just collapse everything. Okay. Right now I have only uh, one application, right? One is this is a master, right? Okay. Yeah. Master I have only one. Okay. So right click on it. So you already use this build solution, rebuild solution, clean solution, etc. Okay. So there should be a publish option here. Okay, let me click on the project otherwise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can see publish here also. You should have publish. Okay, that's okay. You click on this. You see the publish option here. Click on this publish option. Okay. Now, Visual Studio is very matured IDE basically. So you can directly deploy to some app service in Azure Cloud basically. App service is basically a pass of your Azure Cloud platform. That means you don't need to create any virtual machines. You just go and create some application inside Azure Cloud and you deploy your code into that one. Anyways, we have a session on that one as well. Okay? And another one is Azure Virtual Machines. I am not doing any automatic, right? All I am doing is a manual now. Select a folder. Okay, I'll select my folder. Okay, which I kept it on the desktop. Okay, see what is there in the advanced. Click on the advanced. Okay, and now what is the configuration type that you want to use? Okay, I told you, when you are deploying the code to any server, you need to put it in the release mode. If you put it in the debug mode, it will have additional information which slow down your application basically. Okay, so you always need to use the release mode. When you keep release mode, it will only keep the executables that are required for the application. Okay, not for the debugging. Okay, now it's all okay. Remove additional files at destination. If something is there in the folder, it will delete and copy the content to that folder. That's what it is saying. Recompile, it will compile the application like that. Exclude files from app underscore data folder. So that, what it is. If you come here, right, app and data, I told you, right, in general, developers may keep some documents, ppts, or some other data here, which is not required for the application to run. Sometimes it may be required. Okay, maybe they may keep some templates here, some word document template, ppt template, to generate the documents on the pipe on the fly. So you need to ask them if you want to delete them, or keep them basically. Most of the times we will not delete anything that is there in the project, because your team may need it. There should be some purpose. But if there are many files, then you need to ask. Go and publish. Okay, let's click on this. Select the folder. I'm selecting again. Okay, where is 18th October. So you see the release option. You can remove this. You can check this. Remove additional files at destination. Okay. Save and then create a profile. You can see the preview now. Just go and say publish. Okay, publish succeeded. You can see. You see, it has built the, it executed the build activity and then it executed the publish activity. Okay, so now let's go and see what is there in the published folder. So this is our 18th October, right? See what the content it has copied after building the solution. One web.config. This is very important because this is where all the configuration information related to your application, like your server information, connection strings, which is required to connect your databases, or API URLs, passwords, etc., etc. They will keep it here. This is also required. Global data async. It's a developer some designing information. This is an icon, and then under views you see what is there. This is all about CSHTML. This is all UI. In this is basically MVP application, basically MVC application, ASP.NET MVC. This is a design pattern. So if you are using MVC application, your UI will be called as a CSHTML. If you are using traditional web forms, nobody is using now, okay, there you see HTML. That's the only difference. But both will contain HTML content. Shared also will contain the HTML content. Okay, and then bin, there will be a bin folder. So all your code that is there in your .cs files converted to DLL, basically. All your code, I mean, whatever the code you written in CSS file, that went to your a DLL called your journeys web.dll. So this is basically name of your project .dll. All your code is there inside this, and rest everything is the dependent. I mean, or reusable component that are added to your project to run. Basically, these are related to framework. So, so if you see, your published folder contains only your scripts files, your HTML files, and your code in the form of DLL. It doesn't contain any .cs files. Okay, you see. Right, this is all bootstrap. This is all related to your style sheets, basically. Even if you go to Java also, you go to any programming language, it will be like this only. It will only contain HTML files, your configuration files, and your code converted into machine language basically. So here it is DLL. If it is a Java, it is a jar file. Okay, that's the only difference. Okay, now how do, so now you have the artifacts ready. So if it is a .NET application, we deploy web application into .NET web application or .NET ASP.NET application into IIS, basically Internet Information Services. That is the web server name. Okay. So by default, your laptops will have the IIS installed. On the servers, we will install it basically. Okay. So you go to run and type for INET. You will get Internet Information Services Manager. Open this. You guys know about IIS, Internet Information Services? Any idea? Hello?
Purna, can you repeat again?
You guys worked with IIS, or at least do you guys know about IIS?
We work with IIS.
Okay.
Little
So
bit
how
only.
about us? Okay. Yeah. So right? So we deploy the application to IIS, and we configure anything. I mean, we even install the SSL certificates into IIS. It's a web server. When somebody says web server, it's not just a server. Okay, when somebody says web server, it is a machine that contains a piece of software called IIS if it is for .NET application, and Apache Tomcat if it is a Java application. Okay, that is a piece of software. For Java, we install Apache Tomcat. For .NET, we install IIS. Okay, so this is where you deploy. See, deploy means this IIS is having some installed location, right? We will go and keep the content into that folder. Before that, so every web application will have a website, right? So under that website, so let us say you go and say makemedrip.com. That is a website name, right? You basically buy a domain from domain providers like GoDaddy or Azure or AWS. There are many third-party vendors, thousands and thousands of third-party vendors. You can go and buy domain, website from them, and you configure that website in your web server. Okay, so that's where you see a default website when you install IIS. This is a website name. Okay, and then you can go and create your own websites. Okay, or you can deploy your application to in this website itself. Okay, let's say inspect this one, basically your default website. Okay, on the right hand side you see all the different folders here: authorization, compilation, pages. Okay, .NET rows, this all comes under IIS administration, basically. Okay, what error pages should be shown when something goes wrong in every website. Okay, what authentication to be used. So we mostly use if it is internet based application, means which can be accessible over internet, we use user ID password based, right? Okay, we don't use basically if it is this will be used forms authentication. If it is in intranet application, people use Windows authentication, means by LDAP, means whatever is your Windows credentials to log into your laptop will be used. Okay, uh, most of the times what happens, it will be like this forms authenticate, where people give a will get some login page and they have to give their user ID and password. Okay, click this, and on the right hand side is what you need to be interested. Okay, so if you want to stop the website, you can click on the stop and stop the website. Okay, sometimes it may be required, but most of the times you should not stop. There are some strategies. Sometimes what happens, your IAS might be running out of memory, basically. That times people need to stop it, or otherwise when you are deploying application, you need to stop it. Otherwise, people while deploying the application, your artifacts are getting replaced, right? That means the users may get some errors. If you see many of the websites, right, they say, hey, our website is currently under maintenance, please come later. Why do they keep displaying such kind of pages? Because they might be doing some deployments, or they might be having some issues. At that time they stop the service, basically. They stop the web server. But if you're going for a bigger applications or bigger company, they never keep their servers down, because they don't have application running only from one server. They will be running their applications on different servers, n number of servers. So while they are doing maintenance on one server, the application will be available from the other servers. We'll see all those things. Okay, let me start it. And then you can see here browse website. You can access this website is accessible over 80 port 80, basically. And you can say advanced settings. So this application pool by default, it will be default, basically. Since I was using it earlier, I given name as onlinetrips.com. What is application pool? We'll talk about it. Application pools. Okay, this is basically uh, a container, I would say container. Okay, under which your application will be running on. It's a context or a container, I would say. That means you will have a n number of application pools on your web server. Okay, in this IIS. So, and you might be having n number of websites running, like a website 1, website 2, website 3. Each website is mapped to one application pool. Okay, why I do that, let me show you. say I would say website 1, I term it as a site 1. Okay, just for a quick reference. Site 2, site. Now you will have a app polls. Site 1 app poll, site 2 app poll, site 3 app poll. Okay, and then we map it to this like this. Site 1 runs under site 1 apple, site 2 runs under site 2 apple, site 3 runs under site 3 apple. This is how it will be done. Okay, and each site will be having some public IP address for sure, right? I would say I'm not sure how many of you guys configured, but generally you don't get chance. It will be done by server administrators and network administrators. Okay, so I'll say public IP1. It is a private IP address. It cannot be accessible over internet. Okay. Public IP3. So you can see the config. So each site will have its own IP address. Okay. Uh, and your DNS name, and each run under its own app poll. And everyone will have their own authentication as well. So it may be using forms authentication. It might be using Windows authentication for intranet, where you don't need to have any login page. Okay, and it may have a none as well, no auth as well. Okay, and everyone will have its own SSL certificates, right? I would say SSL cert, SSL cert. And SSL certificates are generated for the domain name on a server basically. Each domain name will have their own SSL certificates. Okay, you can go and generate your own SSL certificate. That then you will know uh, the process involved in generating SSL certificate basically. Okay. Okay, this is how your so then what is the advantage of this Apple now? By some reason, by some reason, if your website is down, like site 1 is down for some reason. Okay, it maybe someone hacked your site 1, or your due to some memory exceptions your site went down, or for any exception your site went down. If you are using app pool, it will not affect the other websites. It will still run basically. There won't be any issues. Okay, if you are not using app pool, what happens? If it is having some memory issue in site 1, if the site 1 is down, it will affect site 2, it will affect site 3 as well, because every site is running from the same IIS instance. Okay, and so this issue was there before this app pull mechanism basically. And .NET guys, I mean Microsoft, came up with this concept called app pull. And though you are using your same IAS web server for hosting all these applications, your websites will not be hampered because of the issues basically. How you create a app pool for each website. Your app pool will contain the issues of the website. If something goes wrong with the website 1, only website 1 will be down. That will not be propagated to website 2 and website 3. That is the advantage of the app pools. All you need to do is you can go and create a app pool. It's very easy. Go and create a add application pool and give some name, your journeys, and you have to get the .NET version code. It will display basically. and it is always integrated mode. Pipeline mode is integrated. Start application pull immediately. That's it. Okay. So as I told you, you can deploy your application to default website, or you can go and create your own website as well. You can go and create a website here itself. Okay. Now let's go and deploy to this, website. Before that, let me change the app pool just for your information. Okay. You can click on the default website, and you can, manage your website. Okay. Click on advanced settings. Here you can go and select your own apple which is just created, your journeys. Okay. And it is giving me some bindings here. Okay. Right now it is pointed to onlinetrips.com. Generally it will be default website.com. Okay. We will change all those things. Okay. And the name of this website is default website, you cannot change it. And where is the content? So okay, this is a website, but you need to have the artifacts related to this website, right? So where do we deploy? Basically this is in c colon inetpub www root. So guys, www root is the default path for any IIS installation. This is the default. Basically we go and keep our code or our artifacts inside this www root folder. Okay. Let's go and copy our code first. Okay. You can see the protocols, it is using HTTP. Okay. And you can see some limits. You'll go and read these things. Okay. How many times people should wait for accessing the website? If it is more than 120 seconds, fail this, like that basically. Okay. Let's go to c colon inetpub c colon inetpub. Okay. This is the default path for IIS www root. You can keep it anywhere. So all you need to do is create a folder here and give your journeys, and then copy the content. You are an administrator doing it manually basically. I think that you are doing it on a server, not on your laptop. Okay, paste here. Do this. Okay, I have the content here. So what is ready now? You have a application content in www root. It is a physical path basically, right? It is a physical folder. Now you need to map this physical folder with a virtual folder. You call it as a virtual directory or virtual application as well. So those are the two terminologies that we use: virtual directory or virtual application. So you need to create a virtual directory or virtual application. So you go and right click and then add application. So you always follow the same name basically, your, so that it is easy to map your journeys. Okay. And this website is having already your journeys full. And where is the content for your website, for your application? Go and select c colon inetpub www root, and then your journeys. That's it. Now I mapped my virtual application to the physical folder on my www root path basically. Okay. You don't need to do it is always pass through authentication. Okay. Now you see your website is ready. All you need to do just now is go and browse it. Sorry. Okay. This, I was using this website earlier, right? Let me go and edit the bindings. Okay. Edit binding. So I basically mapped some host name. This host name is not available basically. Okay. Let me, server. I think it will not work. Mm, I screwed it. 1 second. Browse. Delete this. Sorry. Sorry, not the browse. Add. Uh, sorry. Okay. I have. Okay. I got it. Let me know this. I tell you why I did this. Okay. Let me browse this. Your journeys, your journeys application, HTTP protocol. And if I go here, default set, edit bindings. Okay. It automatically has come. You see, I did not change it. It automatically has come. Okay. It takes any IP address. Why it is not now running? 1 second, yes. I'm just checking. What is the problem here? Looks like I changed some of these things. It's website properties. Okay. When I say local host, it is having issue. Let me stop this.
Could not try to define a startup page and browse the application directly.
IIS reset is stopping and starting the IIS basically. What Kiran, you are saying something?
Uh, Try to define a startup page and browse the application.
Uh, it will be by default like that only. Let
Okay,
me check.
try to browse from here.
Both are same. No, basically I might have done something because I use it for multiple purposes. So one
Okay.
most of the times your bindings might be different. Right now I don't have any. So basically, as I told you, every application will have their own IP address. If I am using port I so this website, right? This website might have n number of applications. Let us say if I give make my trip, under make my trip, if you go to I'll tell you how this works basically. Make my trip, right? I take this example because everybody knows it. Okay, so this is a route website basically. Under that you have flights, hotels, etc. How people will deploy? Flights will be one application inside make my trip, and hotels could be another application. You see the hotels here, right? Another application. Homestays is another application. You can see it is getting changed. Holiday packages, another application like this. Okay, under root website you will have n number of applications. Okay, because everything related to one application, one website only. So that's the reason you will see under the same website I will have a n number of applications running like this. Okay, and if I have another website, what happens, this website might be running on the port 80 and another website might be running on 443, but most of the times it is 443 only. But every website will have its own IP address. Okay, they cannot run on the same IP address. That's where you see bindings basically. Okay, right now I will give a star because I cannot use any DNS settings, etc. But I'm just saying why my website is not running, what is the problem. Okay, let me check all the properties. You are saying a default website, a default document.
Yeah, yes.
By default you see inherited, everything is inherited. Okay, you don't need to. This is required basically uh, when you want to set, a web page, like web page like your a website is currently under maintenance. If you want to set up something like that, you will use here basically. uh, yes, let me remove all these things so that I keep playing with my website. Okay, that's the reason. Refresh. Okay. Apple, your journeys. Okay, I have my application running here, and then browse. No, let me create another website. Let me see what is the problem. Okay, generally this is the name what you give, what you buy from companies like GoDaddy and all, right? You will buy the domain from them, you give it the same thing here basically. Okay, the physical folder that I map is where is inetpub, semicolon, inetpub, everything here. Let me not give it. Okay. So right now this is a normal folder. You need to convert it to application. Convert to application. Okay. Let me. It may not work because both are using the same port. Let me check. Oh, this is working. If I see here. Okay. There is the content. This working. Let me check the content. Showing me the blank. But it is okay. It is loading very slowly. Okay. This is the application that we deployed basically. Okay. Let me see what happened. I might have given. I might have screwed this website, default website basically. Might be. I'm not sure what is the difference, but we can compare. Bindings. Host name is. I did not give the host name because I did not buy anything basically. Okay. Maybe that is the reason. I given the host name, right? Host, as I told you, we need to buy this one. Uh, we don't. This is not available, right, for us. I think that is the only difference. Right now, if you see the here, right? I mean, default website, browse website, your journey is on basically. If you see here, this newly created website, just browse on HTTP. That's the reason I try to do the local host. Whenever you install IIS, right? Of course, you never get a chance to install IIS because most of the times your application is already configured on their existing web servers. But if you create, first you need to go and check the local host. If the local host is a default web page for your IIS basically. If that is working, that means your IIS is working basically. When this website was there, localhost was not available. I got the 400 error. Basically 400, 402, 200. All these are HTTP status codes. Developers talk in that language basically. 200 HTTP status code means application is working. Okay. 400 means resource not found. 401 means unauthorized, etc. Unauthenticated, etc. So you will go and read the HTTP status codes for your information. You can simply go and say HTTP status codes. There will be n number of HTTP status codes. Okay, you can. These are very standard. You can even go and read the Wikipedia as well. It will give you all the list of HTTP status codes. You can see here. Basically, anything 100, 200 is what? Okay. You can see 200 series, 300 series, 400 series, 500 series. 500 series are, exceptions are dangerous basically. That means these are serious exceptions. If your websites is having some memory issues or any server issues, anything, any server configuration, etc. You can go and read them in your free time basically. Okay. This is also helpful for you as a DevOps administrator. Okay. So 200 series, 300 series, and 400 and 500. Okay. If you want, I can paste it here. Shall I paste in the, you can take it from here from the chat. Okay. I'm putting it here. It hardly takes 10-15 minutes for you to digest this information. HTTP status course. Okay, basically I screwed my default website. That's the reason I couldn't do. So I went ahead and create a new website. Okay, and I configured basically. Now it is running on port 80. Under that I have an application, your journeys. If my website is very complex like MicMetric, I will have a n number of virtual applications under this website. Okay, like a hotels, like trains, etc. Okay, you understand now what is IIS and how do you create websites and virtual applications and what is an app pool, guys? Are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this IAS administration itself is a big role. In many companies, you see a person specific to IAS itself because they might be having hundreds of web servers running in their company, which are of related to your .NET basically. So if that is the case, they also need a IAS administrator as well to manage all the IAS web servers. Okay. Most of the times, you will get some MIME type issues. You can see IAS MIME types. So this MIME type is nothing but an extension of your files basically. Okay. If something, let us say, if something is not available here, okay, some extension is not available, that means your web server, your web application content will not be delivered related to that. Let us say, what is our video type? Let me let us take this one. If this .html MIME type is not available in this list, all your HTML content will not be delivered. Let us say here, right? Inside whatever you see in this UI is a HTML internally, right? Okay. This content will not be shown if you don't have a MIME type HTML here basically. Similarly, your video files, your audio files, etc. Okay. You can see if your MIME type doesn't contain .jpg, no JPG file will be served from your web server. Though you have that content inside your virtual application, it will not be delivered over internet. So whenever some content is not being served uh, from your application over internet, go and check all these MIME types basically. Okay, you can see everything here. Most of the things will be here: mp3, mp3, mp4, mpeg. You see most of the extensions. uh, there will be some instances where your developers might have created some custom MIME type, etc. That times you need to come and add here as a administrator. Okay, but that is very rare basically. You understand what is a MIME type here? So I'm just giving you, at important things explanation basically. Okay. And another one is easy API filter. This is related to your .NET application. Your .NET applications are mapped to this framework. I mean, if there is no ASP.NET filter mapped, that means your application will not be served. I mean, all your request and response will go through this flows defined in this DLL basically. This is related to system, not related to your application development. Okay. And you can filter the requests. You can go and click on the request. Okay. So what type of files? Okay, in MIME type you decided that these are the these are the files can be served over internet. And there is another thing you can mention. You can even stop the request if the request is containing some unauthorized extension basically. Okay, these are all the extension types that are allowed or not allowed. Okay, if you see, I have .cs pros etc. allowed is false. That means somebody cannot simply request, what do you say, give the path of this .cs pros and download it basically. Okay, that means from here nobody can go and say .cs pros. You see, got there, right? Because this is not allowed and it is going to some request filtering module. Okay, it cannot be allowed basically. Okay, like that you will control what a user can request basically. Okay, all these are by default, uh, you know prohibited from accessing. Okay, likewise, if you want to prohibit anything else, you can go and add in the that request filtering basically. Okay, authentication is in once if someone is having a forms, if you are deploying your application freshly, if it is a .NET, mostly it is a forms authentication or Windows authentication. Nobody uses basic, etc. These are very older, 15 years older basically. Okay, click this, and then similarly you will have the authorization. By default you will you will allow anyone. If something to be added, then developers have to tell you basically. Then you have to come and add rules here basically as per the developers. I don't see anyone uses IIS for authorization. Mostly it will be handled inside the application itself. Authentication is nothing but getting into your website by using user ID password. Authorization is nothing but what parts of the application is available to your end user. Somebody can do only administration and using some functionality. Some regular users can access only regular application content. They cannot manage the application. It's all roles basically. Okay, so most of the times you will check this, and you will check this basically, and then you will check this. Okay, I suggest you guys go and read about IAS administration as well over internet. But these are the three places that you mostly concentrate on while you are working on any deployments. Okay, and this itself is a version. Guys, this is how a manual deployment happens basically, all the way from your Visual Studio, getting the core artifacts via publish mechanism and taking it and deploy to your IAS by creating a new website, or inside the existing website create a virtual application and copy your content there and configure authentication. And then if there are any new MIME types to be added, go and add it to the MIME types. And then if you want to stop, allow or disallow some extensions, you can even use request filtering as well. Okay, and rest everything is related to some non-functional requirement compression. So by default, while the content is getting delivered over internet, right, they will send in a compressed fashion. Okay, that means the bandwidth can be lesser if you use this one, because some users might be having low bandwidth. If you don't compress the, if you don't use this option, right, their bandwidth may not be sufficient to load the application. Okay, these are related to administration activities, but I don't think in the current days people will have those kind of issues. Everybody will having higher bandwidths basically. But if you've been using it since 15-20 years, you know what is the problem with the bandwidth and how it is helpful, compression, etc. Okay, you can see the error pages. These are the error pages that are configured. So whenever you get an issue, your web page is showing some page, right? That is where it is serving. It is coming from here. Okay, iNetwork cluster, etc. Okay, this is a quick tour of your IAS administration and how you deploy your applications.
Purna, can you show me how you navigated to the compression feature? Okay, I found it.
Say, okay, every time you click on this website, right, it will show all the options. Okay, every website will, you click here, right? When you click on website 1, you will have the same thing. Website 2 will have the same thing, but if you make, then these changes are not applicable to your other website. Okay, because
Okay,
options are same, your configurations are different basically. Getting me? You click
yeah,
this, it will show the same options. You can see here default website home, your journeys. Now you are under your journeys home basically, means these settings, same settings.
okay,
So once you do something, it will go here, right? To go back, there is no back button here. Okay, that's the reason you again click on the website name. There is no back button there.
Okay.
Okay, you see the SSL settings. If you say require SSL, you have to install the SSL certificate. Okay, as I told you guys, SSL certificates management, everything will be part of your operations team. You can call it as a tech ops or a server administrators, or any operations team. They will take care of it as a whole, because they generate they manage the SSL application, SSL certificates for the entire organization, not just for you. They don't even allow you basically, because this is a very high confidential one. Okay. uh, are you good? So if you're okay, so we are going to automate all of these manual steps, not just this. There will be many more things. I've just shown you some default deployments and some administration activities, right? We will be doing more than this one in our automated deployments. Okay. Anyways, that time I will explain some other manual activities as well. Okay. Now, so how do you do all these things using Azure Release pipeline, which is nothing but your CD pipeline? We'll quickly give you overview. So we will start this CD pipeline uh, by deploying your MVC web application, whatever we deploy to our local, right? We will deploy to an IIS and a virtual machine on Azure basically. So I will you will now you will learn Azure Cloud Administration as well as part of these labs. Okay. So for that, we will do some activities like deployment groups, release pipelines, and some configuration. And we will configure some tasks. The way we configure tasks in CI pipeline, in the same way, we will have many tasks in a CD pipeline as well. So moving forward, I may use a word called continuous deployment or continuous delivery or CD pipeline or release pipeline, but all are same. Okay. And so as I told you, we will create virtual machines, we will install IIS and .NET frameworks, and we do that all that server administration as well before we get into CD pipeline, so that you will cover both, starting from scratch if you are given a new machine, or if you know how to do it with a new machine, then you know everything basically. That's why I start with a new machine. Okay. So guys, for today, I will stop here with these manual activities and some overview. Tomorrow, we will get into CD pipeline and start configuring for your application basically. Okay. We will start with a virtual machine deployment, deploying to virtual machines, and then slowly move into other modes of deployments as well. Okay.
Okay, Puri.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you.